Hi, I'm Gail Jones, and I'm back with you for session 5 with this mosaic mirror workshop. And we are going to be grouting today. As you can see, this is the straight edge piece that we worked on. I believe the last time that you saw this, we had put in place the focal pieces. Now, remember, our mirror is behind the paper shroud. And I started adding some of the smaller tessera in, and off camera I went and filled it in, because when you put your adhesive on your pieces and you fill in your mosaics, you really should allow 12 to 24 hours for the adhesive to really get a good grip, to get a good bond and be secure before you start grouting. Because as you see, when we go about grouting, that I sort of woman handle the mosaic. I add some pressure in, and so if it's not adhered well and have enough time to cure, you're going to lose some of your pieces. And that's another frustration you don't want to have. So this is the straight edge. And this is round. I know in the image on the screen it looks a bit oval, which still is pretty pleasant, which I should have thought about that, but I'll think about that for the next one. This is our round one, and you can see that I have taken the edge of the plate, my heirloom plate. This is a keepsake. This dishware was very important and special to myself and my family. Lots of memories. And instead of discarding the whole set, and you see the discoloration, that's from the microwave. And I purposely placed them in this piece along the edge because it is a memory. It's a way of remembering when we would come in and grab stuff out the refrigerator and throw it onto the plate and stick it in the microwave so that we can eat lickety split. And you can see when we went and nipped those special little pieces there, how I placed them strategically and then added the fill in of our tessera to really just enhance. And again, the mirror is hidden behind there. So when we get ready to grout, I like to raise my piece up so it's not flush against the table. And I use anything that is going to allow it to be sturdy. Today I'm using these wooden blocks, and I'm going to add the 4 of them right there. This way I clear the edge of my piece because I don't want to drip grout on those blocks, but it's secure enough. And that way, when I'm applying the grout, I can get all around the edges. Sometimes, as you'll see on our straight edge piece, how it's important. It won't be as important because this already has a nice edge to it, because I used the edge of the plate, which was nice and smooth, and it's not going to be difficult for the hands. And I don't need to frame it with the grout as much as I will with the straight edge, and you'll see that. So I'm going to get my grout, and this is pre-made grout. And it comes in various colors. I like to use a neutral. And I'm going to make enough for both pieces. So my guesstimate is about 2 cups. 2 cups of the grout mixture for to do these two pieces. And I have a container that's going to allow me enough room to stir, and just like muffin mix or a thick pancake mix, that's the consistency that I'm looking for. So you can see this is how I cook as well. It drives my husband out of his mind because I don't use a recipe, and I don't do a lot of baking for that matter, unless it's out of a box. And just stir to get the lumps out. Let you see inside there. And I would like it to stand up, but have a little more liquid. So I'm almost there. And if you by accident add too much liquid, you can just add a little bit of the mixture in. That's what I'm looking for. It'll fall off with a little pressure, but it's enough to stay on without me jiggling. Okay. And again, I found out that the word that I was looking for was trowel. It's a metal rectangular thing with a handle. You can use that if you like, but I don't like. So this is what I use. I use a rubber cooking spatula. If you go to the dollar store, they usually have them there, and again, for $1. And I believe it works quite nice. It fits in my hand without a lot of stress and strain. And you see how I'm just applying it on there in various areas? And now look. See how wonderful that is? I'm just filling it in. Remember, I did tell you this part is very messy. But see how it's popping? And it's wet. So it's darker. So I'm just going to keep at this, and you'll see it'll speed up some. And now that I had worked and pressed and really use the spatula to push the grout in all the crevices for a straight edge, or when you're using the grout to frame in your mosaic, I like to take it like you're putting icing on a cake. There's no right or wrong. Sometimes I'll do this first before I do the inside and the top face, and sometimes I'll do it after I have done the top face. There's no right or wrong. But I'm using the grout, and this is why I really like it raised, because see how I can get and smooth out the bottom so that the part that is going to be up against the wall is flush. And I just take and do that all around each of the 4 sides. I find if the grout is a little bit juicy, it works really well to cling to the sides of the HardieBacker. Which my editor informed me I was calling HardieBacker Wonder Under, and that's a sewing material. Since I am a fiber artist and I do sew, sometimes I get my terms mixed up. Whoopee, don't want to do that. Don't want to mess up my mirror. Great. Now there's been enough time to tell you it was a little messy. You want to make sure that those sides really cover it up. See, I'm adding those water in there, making sure it doesn't get too dry. Now I can scrape off the excess. You can see your picture coming alive. Take your sponge and wet it. And you want to remove any clumps or excess grout, because when the grout hardens, it becomes rock. And if you don't do this part, this cleanup part, see how nice that's starting to look? You'll just be making a lot of extra. Did you see that drop off? Just pick it up and put it back on. Don't fret. Just pick it up and put it back on. so that you can see what you're doing and what it looks like a little bit more, I do take a paper towel and gently, as you see, go over my piece and take off any extra grout that is on the tile in areas that I don't want that on. And this will save a lot of work later. See how it was? I took that corner, it was hiding, and I took it off. Now we'll need to get old plastic. You can use a plastic bag. It needs to cure. And just like the adhesive, I like to allow it to cure the grout for at least 12 hours. And being in this humidor, hand-done humidor, it will allow it to go a little bit very slowly, and it will get hard as a rock. If you don't do this step here, it doesn't get hard as a rock, and it's very sandy, and it will not be a good consistency, and your mosaic will not have long life. Now I'm going to bring back the round one. Now when I took it away, it was still very clumpy. It was very wet. And see how the grout has set up a bit? It makes it a little easier to handle, because I would like to get the grout in between the spaces for my edge. And at that time, when I first put it on there, it was still too thin to do that. It was too moist. It was running through. So that's another trick that I use. Sometimes I walk away, or I do this in a collection. So I'm not doing one or two pieces when I grout. I usually wait until I have like 7 or 8 pieces, and I just do the whole run that way. So by the time I'm finished putting the first step on tile or mosaic number 1, and I go through, by the time I'm finished mosaic number 7, I can go back and do this cleanup as I'm doing here now. Just like with the straight edge, I'm going to take my sponge and try to clean it up a bit. Alrighty, now this is ready to go to bed, as I say. Go to make the humidor. And put it to bed. Now, 12 hours later, this is what you'll get. You see how it's sort of ghosty? That's the residue of the grout. And before I take off my paper there in the center of my mirror, I'm going to try and use my paper towel to sort of clear it off. And now we're going to do some video magic, because I'm going to take my good old scrub brush and I'm going to take this piece outside, because you do not want to do this part inside the house, and I don't want to do this in my husband's technical studio to have grout dust all over all of his electronics. That would not be nice, and that would not be healthy. So I'm going to step out and I am going to brush this like I'm brushing shoes, like I'm shining shoes. And then when I come back, you'll see the difference of this piece and what the difference the brushing makes. I'm back. Can you see the difference? Can you see how the pieces of tessera are picking up the light where they didn't before because they were clouded over? And now the drum roll. We're ready to free the mirror from its chains. And there you go. Here's the top, here's the hanger, and see our mosaic keepsake mirror. Thank you so much for joining in. It's been such a pleasure having this time with you and demonstrating how to just be creative and turn what could be landfill into something beautiful and memorable for your families for many generations. Toot toot.